And we're live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook. Evan, my man, we're back. What's going on, man?
How you doing? Feels like just yesterday we were doing this.
Just did a live Q&A just a few minutes ago. I appreciate you gracing us with your presence at the end. It's
How did
excellent.
that go? What'd you do? You just went in there and you just said, "Hey, I'm here to answer questions." Start asking, and that was it.
Yeah, we got to start our own little improv functional medicine club, Instead of doing comedy and skits, we just do our functional medicine info.
I
Help people
agree.
get better. What do you think?
I agree. Let's do it.
Cool, man. Well, I'm live on Facebook here. You're not going to be able to hear Evan's beautiful voice on YouTube. So I'll see if we can have a link below. You can also go to youtube.com/justinhealth, and I'll try to put a link up on here right now so people can access that information if they are ready to go over there. So Evan, why don't we chat for a minute about magnesium?
Yes, this is huge. We've got to give credit where credit is due. And so Morley Robbins from gotmag.org, he's part of maybe he's even founded. I'm not quite sure how that worked, if he founded it or what, but the Magnesium Advocacy Group, it's just an incredible source of information about magnesium. How big of
Absolutely.
an issue is magnesium deficiency? Why is magnesium deficiency happening? Why is it so much more prevalent in the modern world? How can you test for your status? And then what is a protocol? How do you restore magnesium? And what type of symptoms would someone listening be experiencing if you were deficient? That's what we want to cover together today.
Absolutely. Well, magnesium has over 1,000 enzymatic roles in the body. Really important as a muscle relaxer, really important for blood sugar handling, really important for anabolic, for the Krebs cycle, for helping to reduce brain inflammation, so many different things. The more stress you're under, the more you're actually going to burn through magnesium. The more you eat sugar, right? The more like refined sugar, the more magnesium is a cofactor for metabolizing sugar. So high sugar diets and high stress diets are one of the major ways you're going to deplete magnesium. Number one, you deplete it because you're burning it up more to process it. For stress, you're going to dump more of it in the kidneys into the urine. And then number three, if you're busy eating crappy food, you're not getting magnesium-rich foods, leafy greens and such in your diet to boost up your magnesium.
Yeah, let's go over a couple of statistics here. In terms of magnesium deficiency statistics, 2 out of every 3 Americans do not
Yep.
consume even the RDA for magnesium, which is 500 milligrams a day. A lot of times the RDIs are crap, and we typically like people above those, but even that, people are not meeting that 500 milligram. And then for those headed to the hospital, 80% of patients in an ICU setting are considered magnesium deficient.
Wow.
So that's pretty interesting there. And the way that Morley kind of breaks down his magnesium deficiency symptom, and he's got tons of scientific literature on this too, is he's got your mild symptoms, such as like food cravings for sugar, headaches, hiccups, hypoglycemia, irritability, loss of appetite, mood swings, muscle cramps, nausea, nervousness, poor memory, weakness. And then you can go into the really, really big magnesium issues like AFib, which is what my grandmother's got, cardiac atrial fibrillation. You've got congestive heart failure. You've got obesity. You've got renal failure. You've got stroke. You've got alcoholism, which makes sense. You've got celiac disease linked. You've got chronic kidney disease, concussions, depression, failure to thrive. I mean, we could just list 1,000, even PMS. I mean, we could list 1,000 and bore people, but I think a lot of those symptoms will probably hit home for many people listening.
Oh, 100%. And again, magnesium is super important, especially like in today's day and age of anxiety, right? And mood issues. One of the first things that we're reaching for with mood is like a benzodiazepine or like an antidepressant. And one of the things you can do to kind of like wind down and relax your nervous system and kind of relax your stress handling systems is up the magnesium. That can make such a huge benefit.
Well, you remember that one night, I think it was when I was about to move back to Kentucky and I was stressed out. We had the house all packed up in Austin. I called you. I'm like, yo, my heart is 5,000 beats a minute.
Totally.
This is crazy. And you go, oh man, don't worry. Just go do a gram of magnesium. I'm like, all right, I'm going for it. And I did the gram of magnesium and things slowly came back down to normal. So, I've personally experienced the benefits of magnesium, and you and I use it in some form, typically with all of our clients, even if it's just a maintenance dose or whether we're trying to do a therapeutic intervention, which we can talk about. Either way, we've typically got everyone on some sort of magnesium somewhere.
Yeah, whether it's in our multi-support, and typically like the big ones that I like, right? I like a good magnesium malate because it interplays with the Krebs cycle as well, and it's chelated to an amino acid malate.
Now it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap too, right?
Yeah, it's pretty affordable. I mean, that and glycinate are really good. They're very well absorbed, and then they're also going to help with the Krebs cycle, which that's going to help with blood sugar issues. It's going to help with energy issues, and it's going to help with stress and relaxation. That's a good one. Magnesium citrates commonly in like a natural calm, which is really good. I typically do a little bit of mag citrate at night in a powder form, and I mix it with collagen. So it's kind of like almost like my own little magnesium glycinate because I'm taking it with all the glycine and the collagen. And I like that before bed for R&R and relaxation.
Yeah. Most of our audience is pretty advanced, but it is worth mentioning that if you are thinking of picking up a magnesium supplement, if you go to Walmart or Target or just your typical store to get magnesium, you're likely going to end up getting magnesium oxide, which has a 4% absorption rate. And typically there's going to be tons and tons of fillers, potentially gluten, rice, other types of stuff in there. And so we only use professional grade products in our lines. And then also, we will refer out to other professional lines as needed.
Yeah, we've gotten some questions on the mag-threonate here. And mag-threonates, again, that's going to be really good, especially if there's significant malabsorption issues. It helps with brain inflammation. So taking it transdermally can help because it can cross that blood-brain barrier. And if like there's a lot of brain inflammation, and we'll see that like an organic acid test, we'll see an elevation in quinolinate, or we'll see an elevation in picolinic acid, and that will be a big sign for increasing magnesium. And if we have like kids that are autistic or a lot of gut issues or people can't swallow pills, the transdermal is great. I did float tank, man. I did a float tank over the weekend. So I was in 1,200 pounds of magnesium salts. So after I came out of that, I was like just like jello and super relaxed.
Where did you go? Did you go to my friend Zero Gravity over there on Menchaca, or where'd you go?
That Zero Gravity, man. How'd you know?
Well, because I know Kevin. He's been on my podcast like 3 times, the owner.
Oh, I got to have him on my podcast. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's in Austin. You guys could do an in-person podcast if you wanted.
Oh, I love it. I'm definitely signing up, man. All
right.
I love it. I love it.
Let me connect you guys right now then.
Dude, let's do it.
Okay.
Live in the flesh.
All right. So I did want to mention about threonate because I saw there was a question about it because I discussed it in my latest video on my YouTube channel, my top 12 ways of reducing anxiety. And I love threonate. So I have a formula called Calm Clarity, and that's what I use for people. And there's a lot of cool research about threonate specifically for people with PTSD. So I do have some veterans, and I have used the threonate with them, and they say that it seriously works. And even if they're not veterans, if they've just experienced trauma, it does some amazing stuff getting that magnesium into the brain, much more than just getting it into the gut.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really good stuff. In my line, we have Magnesium Supremes, what I use, and that's the magnesium malate. And I'm doing a lot of Krebs cycle support programs. I find a lot of people with Krebs cycle or mitochondrial issues, they do really well with the magnesium malate just because of the Krebs cycle.
Yep, that's great.
Okay. So looking at other things here, we got my buddy Steve here on Facebook wants to talk about magnesium taurate for blood pressure issues. He wants to know, is there a difference between glycinate and taurate? Well, outside of just the obvious that glycine's amino acid and taurine is an amino acid, they're just bound to different amino acids. I know glycinate has phenomenal absorption. In the research, it's like 90+% get absorbed. What's your take on magnesium taurate, Evan?
I like taurate, but I haven't used it as much as glycinate, the malates, citrates, or the threonates. Doesn't mean it's not as good. I just haven't had as much hands-on experience with it.
Yeah, just don't have a ton of experience with it, Steve. But I mean, binding it to an amino acid is good. If you're getting a good clinical effect, let us know in the chat window. I'd love to hear that. But I'm definitely more biased towards a glycinate and malate. But in the end, I let the clinical outcome guide the ship.
Agreed. That's the best answer.
Absolutely. Anything else, Evan, you want to address? I got to jump on another podcast here in a few with our friend here, Kevin, over at Reboot Body. So that'll be a good one. Anything else we want to knock down here in this quick little magnesium podcast?
Epsom salt baths are great. They're very easy. The float tanks are going to be way better though. and you're going to spend a lot of money on Epsom salt if you're trying to even match something that would be therapeutic. So look up flotationlocations.com and you can check out, type in your zip code, or if you're out of the United States, type in your postal code, and you can actually find float centers that are located near you. And typically you're going to spend about 60 to 75 bucks for an hour, but it's the best hour of your life. And when you come out, you're going to feel like you've been reborn.
Highly recommend it. I mean, especially the whole sensory deprivation aspect where you're open your eyes and you just don't know if you're asleep or awake. That's pretty crazy. Has a big effect on relaxation. I may even go tonight, man. They're open at 10 o'clock.
I know. Now, was that your first float?
First float. Loved it.
Are you serious?
Loved it. First float.
That's great. So I did my first float back in 2013. That was when I flew in to go to the Paleo FX for the first time. And that center wasn't open. I went to actually this little house. It was like a massage studio, and they happened to have one of the small float tanks in there. And I had an out-of-body experience. I was basically looking at myself from a third-person perspective, and I could see myself from above floating in the tank. I've had some insane experiences. One time at Kevin's facility, I visited Egypt during my float session. Like I was sitting on a pyramid overlooking the Nile River as it used to flow in Egypt. And then I snapped back into my body and I was like, it was unbelievable. So yeah, float tanks are just unreal. We could do a whole show on it. Robert said, what if taking magnesium causes slight nausea? I've experienced that a bit with citrate. Do you have any say on that, Justin, in terms of nausea and magnesium? I think it possibly could depend on what you're getting, because if you are doing the natural calm and you don't feel well with the stevia, maybe that's part of it and not the magnesium itself. What do you think?
Yeah, regarding that piece, if you take too much magnesium, especially like a magnesium citrate or oxide, it will create bowel flow, will help. It's a natural laxative, right? Magnesium oxide is actually a pretty good laxative, not good for absorption, but good for moving the bowels. Same with citrate. Citrate's better for absorption, but also good for moving the bowels. That can help move the bowels a bit, which is excellent. But again, if you move the bowels too much, or if you're kind of in between, if you don't get enough to move the bowels, you can just kind of feel like your stomach's in knots a little bit and your stool looks a little loose. So you may just be in that in-between magnesium tolerance dosing. What do you think?
Yeah, that I agree with you. Riley said, please talk more about magnesium threonate. Okay, I'll tell you a couple of things here. There was a study in the Journal of Neurosciences 2011 that suggests an enhancement of plasticity in brain regions such as the prefrontal cortex and or the hippocampus with the use of magnesium L-threonate. Also, it has been found to extinct the fear memory without erasing the original fear memory. So this is like the trauma use. There's also another piece of research here that shows that it can increase learning ability, working memory, short and long-term memory. And then also, let's see, there was one other thing. It will mediate the effects of exposure to stress on memory. And so basically you take 2 grams for maintenance, but if you've got memory loss or other issues, then you're going to take 3 or 4 grams of the threonate. So there you go.
Magnesium's excellent. It's a natural beta blocker as well. Part of the receptors on the beta cells of the heart, they get stimulated by calcium, right? And magnesium and calcium kind of have this natural ratio, and magnesium can kind of come in there and block the beta receptors of the heart. So it decreases that stimulation. So it can kind of help relax the heart a little bit. And if the sympathetics are kind of in overdrive, it'll help bring that blood pressure down naturally too, which is really cool.
Ah, I love it. Okay, so before somebody gets on some type of crazy heart drug, it's possible that they could get on some magnesium first.
Yeah, plus the medication, the end of the D, that medication, foxglove is a natural herb for the medication that helps kind of reduce stroke volume, reduce the heart pumping. That medication is a natural herb called foxglove. So people just starting low dose foxglove, if you're having a lot of like overly heart stimulation, like your heart's kind of beating out of the chest, first make sure you don't have a heart attack, right? That's number one. Rule that out by your conventional medical doctor. But foxglove and magnesium can really help kind of relax the heart a bit.
You ought to chat with Dr. Cowan too. He talked about Wabaine. Wabaine, it's like an ancient medicine, but it's used for heart attacks. And he said it should be basically standard care in all ambulances when they go to pick up someone that could potentially be having a heart attack. He says that Wabain should be on board on every ambulance in the world, and it will save a lot of lives.
And what is that exactly?
I believe it's some type of, I want to say it's some type of plant. The spelling of it's really weird. It's like,
it's not Wobenzyme, right? You're saying something else?
that's correct. I'm saying Wabain. So
Wabain.
it's Ouabain. It's also known as Strafanthin. And if you look it up, it was traditionally used as an arrow poison in Eastern Africa for hunting and warfare. But in lower doses, it can be used medically.
Wabain. Love it.
Yeah, Wabain. Yes. So that's a trip, but it is some type of plant. It's a Strophanthus is what it is.
Almost as good as when you say matcha.
You like when I say matcha?
Yeah, matcha tea. Love it. Love it. Very cool. It's like word candy, man.
Yes, it is. Well, if there's any questions about magnesium, let us know. But otherwise, this is pretty straightforward. Modern life depletes magnesium. You have to replenish it. I like float tanks. I like magnesium oil. Justin and I both use magnesium supplementally, and we use it with our clients too. So also get your leafy green vegetables too, though. I mean, that's a good maintenance way too.
Yeah, I mean, let's go over the top 10 foods real quick. Let's just make sure everyone knows what the top 10. I mean, off the bat, just your leafy greens are going to be excellent.
Yep.
You know, your kale, your spinach, your leafy greens are going to be just absolutely great. If we look at outside of the leafy greens, what else do we have for magnesium? We have nuts and seeds. Squash and pumpkin seeds are going to be the absolute highest. Fish is going to be right there in number 3. Beans and lentils, again, I would just be careful with that, right? White beans and French beans and black-eyed beans and kidney beans will be the best. Chickpeas as well. Again, if you're kind of paleo or you're having some issues with the legumes, then you want to stay away from that. Whole grain brown rice, but we're not going to make a recommendation there because if grains are creating any malabsorption or gut irritation, you're not going to absorb the magnesium anyway. Plus, there's lectins and phytates in there that will bind it up. So even though it says it's good, the question is, do you actually absorb it? And I would put a nay on that one.
Agreed.
Avocado, yeah, good. Avocados are really excellent. A little bit of bananas. Remember, like we're talking about magnesium here. People think when I say bananas, what nutrient do you think of?
Potassium.
Bananas.
Potassium, yeah.
Exactly. But avocados have twice the amount of potassium.
I know.
Than bananas do.
I know. How much does it, do you have any type of numbers in front of you? Like how many milligrams of magnesium are in one avocado, for example, like a Haas?
Yeah, so 27 milligrams and 100 grams per banana. And then in an avocado, it's about 29. So just a little bit more.
And that's for 100 grams of avocado. I don't know. How much is 100 grams? I mean, how many grams are in one full avocado?
Typically about 3.3 ounces is 100 grams. So probably about one avocado, maybe a little more.
I mean, I've had some avocados that feel like they're a pound. I mean, that's got to be.
So just do the math, figure out what 3.3 ounces is. If it's like a medium, like kind of Haas avocado, again, you're probably okay. And again, we're taking out the outer coating and the big seed in the middle.
Right.
Well, anything else we want to hit there so far?
I don't think so. Pumpkin seeds are great. I'm a huge fan of pumpkin seeds. What about sunflower kernels? Were those on the list at all?
Sunflower kernels were not, but we did have the pumpkin and squash seeds. So, wait a couple. Hold on. I'll give you the rundown. Sesame, Brazil, almonds, cashews, pine nuts, mixed nuts, peanuts, pecans, and walnuts in that exact order outside of squash and pumpkin being 1 and 2.
I'm a huge fan of walnuts too. Put a little cinnamon on those bad boys.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. And then obviously dark chocolate at the end, great source of magnesium. Why do women at their period time crave dark chocolate? Very high source of magnesium. And again, if you're choosing high dark chocolate, high cacao rate, you're going to get more cacao, more dark chocolate without the extra sugar and dairy if it's going to be like a milk chocolate. So try to reach for higher quality endangered species, 88%, Cougar on the front, Lindt. Any other good brands you like?
So the endangered species is good. I love what they're doing to try to save these animals, but they're not organic. Trader Joe's has an organic bar. Get this, 3 ingredients. It's $2.99 for the bar. I believe it's 72%. And it's cocoa, cacao butter, and sugar.
It's nice. That's good. But for endangered species, they are GMO and they are certified gluten-free. So
they're GMO-free? Okay.
They're GMO-free at least, and they're certified gluten. So that's, you get 2 good things. Ideally, if we could have the certified organic, that'd be better. They do have one, but it's like a 75%. So you could go down to the 75 and get that. You just wouldn't get, you get a little bit more sugar for your buck there.
So what do you got in your fridge? You got the 88 in there? The 88%?
88.
Nice.
88. Absolutely, man. And I also got a couple of the Kind bars too that are the 4 grams of sugar. The Madagascar vanilla. Love those.
Does sound good. Well, hey, reviews help. They very, very much help. So go to Beyond Wellness Radio on iTunes. That's where Justin's podcast is housed. Put a review there. I mean, it takes a few minutes and you're probably just going to ignore me, because just like when a pop-up comes up on your phone and it says, hey, do you love this app? Review it. And you just click no thanks. Don't no thanks me. Please review Beyond Wellness Radio on iTunes, and then check out Not Just Paleo too, and review it. It takes literally 2 minutes, but when you do that, what it does is it keeps us in the top 100 of health. So that way we're beating out Jillian Michaels, which is the exercise more, eat less approach. And I really don't want that to be number 1 on the rankings. We want functional medicine at the top of the charts, because this is what the masses need. So the review helps us to do that.
Oh, by the way, yeah, people on Facebook, give us a review, notjustpaleo.com, justinhealth.com. Click on the podcast link, iTunes review. Also, you just mentioned Biggest Loser people, right? Jillian Michaels. Bob Harper just had a heart attack last week.
Tell people about that if they didn't hear. Just give like a little spark note.
So Bob Harper was Jillian Michaels' sidekick there on The Biggest Loser. And, you know, I like the guy's personality, pretty cool guy. But again, they're kind of recommending this exercise more, eat less, low calorie, whole grain, low fat kind of mindset. No emphasis on nutrient quality, no emphasis on inflammatory nutrients, no emphasis on toxins and organic foods. And again, you just more exercise, more oxidative stress, not good fats, not healthy animal products. The guy gets a heart attack. I mean, maybe he's not eating that way, but that's the way he's suggesting a lot of the contestants to eat. And the guy's in his 40s. I mean, you shouldn't be getting a heart attack looking as like he does in his 40s. Again, fit and healthy are 2 different things though.
Yeah, so let me just give a couple more notes just so people understand the insanity of it. So, I mean, as you mentioned, he's the host of this show on TV that's getting broadcast to millions of people. Yeah, he looks okay. Like if you look at his picture, like there's a couple article where he posted like an Instagram picture of him. He looks okay externally. I mean, the guy's not like overweight, but internally it could be a whole different show. So it says he was working out at a New York City gym and he collapsed and he was unconscious in a hospital for 2 days.
Crazy.
So there you go. And he's a called fitness expert. I'm sorry if my fitness expert who's young has a heart attack, unless there was some other type of genetic or, you know, some type
of heart valve issue or some kind of abnormality in the heart valve at birth that you didn't know about. I mean, yeah, again, this guy's pushing a diet that we don't agree with, and more than likely getting a excessive oxidative stress with the exercise piece that's going in there. So yeah, keep that in mind. And lots of stress, that's a stress component that will cause you to pee out more magnesium. And Steve, 5.9 for your red blood cell magnesium is perfect. I like 5 and above. And the medication is the Digitalis. Digitalis is the medication that is the synthetic version of Foxglove that helps reduce stroke volume.
And of course, we do want him. We wish the guy a speedy recovery. But man, if you say you're a fitness expert and you're pushing a low-fat exercise more approach, man, that's not good. That's not good. So we like exercise. We both do it, but it's the dose makes the poison and the intensity makes the poison too. And those are 2 levers that we adjust based on clinical symptoms and lab results.
100%. Anything else here, Evan, you wanted to address? I got to jump on another podcast. We're on a podcast cycle here today. Anything then the questions you wanted to hit real quick?
No, that's it, man. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Give us 5 5-star reviews and we'll be back more frequently and more questions with more content and more great guests. We're here for you guys.
Take care.
Evan, my man, it's been real. You take care.
Bye.
Bye.